Stop my video. We're live. Go.
Welcome once again to the another session of the Brosis Empowerment Hour. I'm your host, Darwin, and today we have a very special guest with us, one of the stalwarts of the Brosis. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot speak for him because he's very eloquent and very articulate when he speaks. And I would love that each one of you listen and learn from him because I learned from him also. So, without further ado, today our special guest is none other than Mr. Linton. We call him Conk or Benji, Mr. Stewart. He's referred to in that space also. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to welcome to the Russie's Brosis Foundation Empowerment Hour, Mr. Stewart. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad, man. Thanks for having me. Good evening, and good evening to all our viewers.
Very well, very well. Thank you, sir. I haven't seen you in ages, and you haven't aged one bit.
Ah, well, I've heard that almost every day, but I just can't see
Right? You're not supposed to. You're supposed to feel it.
it. Well, I feel it because I do exercise like 5 days per week, so I still try to keep healthy, you know.
Yes, yes.
I mean, at 53, me still I go strong, but try to keep as healthy as possible. Try to
50.
exercise and eat properly,
Yes,
so
yes, yes. That I mean, a person that's old, that's how they feel. If you say you're 53 and you feel like 53, then that's what you are. You could say your number is 53 legally, that's what's on the birth certificate, and you probably feel like 40 or 45.
well, to be honest, sometimes I go out and play the game and I still feel like I'm 17, but I just have to know that, you know, yeah, I just have to know that knowing when to stop is what keeps you going,
Yes, yes,
so
yes,
you have
yes.
to know your limitations.
I agree because sometimes even I do play the game sometime, and your mind tells you that I can do that because you could do it. That's different from what you can do now at this age. The
Absolutely,
body take a longer time to recover and all that.
absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's talk a little bit about introduce us a little bit about your who conk. You talk about how you get that name because we talk about persons who from a younger age. Let's talk about you for a minute. Introduce yourself to the to persons who may not know who you are. The real Mr. Stewart, the real conk, the real Benji.
Okay, Linton Stewart is the name. Linton Wayne Stewart.
Yes.
I have several aliases, but not a criminal. Criminal have a lot of aliases. Um, Kong, Benji, some call me Stewie. Basically, I am a humble person. I always try to remain humble. Very loving person.
Yes.
Um, a humanitarian. You know, just try to keep a level head each day. Going out there. And I try to develop a philosophy for myself. I keep telling myself, Darwin, that each day when I step out of my house, I try to impact someone's life in a positive way.
Yes.
And if I don't do that on a particular day, I don't feel like I've accomplished anything during the day. And
Yes.
when I said impact a person's life positively, doesn't mean necessary to give a man some money. Just a smile, just to say, hi, morning, how are you? Some positive word, but just
Yes.
impact someone's life in a positive way,
Yes.
because I tell you this, I might be jumping the gun a bit, but since I've been a social worker per se, um, I come to realize that there are so many things in life that I thought in early in my life that was important.
Yes.
It's not. It's not so important. Because when I go there on a daily basis and I see how people live that way, how people live and
Yes.
function, I realize that, you know, I've been very fortunate,
Yes.
absolutely fortunate. And this is something that I'm gonna say right now. And I know that some people might be out there and wondering, because I've been working at SDC for 21 years now, and I think I have given away probably 1/3 of my salary to people, which is a bad thing, because sometimes, you have a partner, you have children, but when you go there and see how people need it more than you, Darwin,
Yes.
you just have to give, and there are instances where, the saying that um you teach a man to fish instead of giving him fish. But there are instances where you go there and you see genuine need, you have to give a fish.
At the same time.
Yes, and probably 3 or 4 fish down the road, because so they have to balance him out until he can balance himself.
Yes.
So I try to remain very, very humble every day I go out there, and try to just be who I am.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very profound thing. And they always have a saying where they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And you always exemplify that kind of a characteristics, very quiet, very deep, always thinking, self, you know, not a self-centered person. You're always thinking about the other person. And a lot of persons can relate to what you just said. So just to show where you got all that discipline from, because it takes a lot of discipline to be doing what you're doing now. So how did you develop that kind of discipline in yourself to be who you are?
And I tell you, all this is coming from my mom.
Yes.
All this is coming straight from my mom. My dad died when I was 12 years old, just
Sorry
entering
about
high
that.
school. And my mom was the driving force behind me, and she's a very humble lady. I mean,
Yes.
she lives with me now. She's 86, and she's very um sick at the moment. Several underlying problems, and that's the reason why, even in this time of the pandemic,
Yes.
I go on a daily basis, and I engage people, but I have to make sure I I I abide by all the protocols,
Yes.
because, as I always say to even my boss, if I come in at 8:10 and I pass on that virus to my mother, she would die at 8:11. The amount of complication that she have, so I love her dearly, and she has been the driving force behind me and my sister. And I tell you, and I spoke to John last week, and one of the things that I regret in life is that my mom has never seen me play football. Has never seen me play football, you know. And it's kind of sad, but that's how it is, because she's always out there working for us to make sure that everything's okay at home. So, you know, and I tell you this, Darwin, my mentor, Colin Miller, there's not one day that I don't think about that this awesome human being, because going to school all my years, he taught us to have confidence in ourselves,
Yes.
but at the same time, he taught us humility, taught us to humble ourselves, you know, and he was one of the person who impacted my life greatly, and as I said last week, that may his soul rest in peace,
Right. Right.
Mm.
So I'm sorry about the passing of your father. A lot of John recently. When you talk about John last week, talking about John, Mr. John Campbell, and I take it that you
Yes,
and Mr.
yes,
John Campbell have a lot of history from childhood days. Can you talk about anything like that? Because I'm sure he talk about you like you were like you grew up together pretty much. A lot of persons talk about you like you grew up together, and you're the same person up until this day. It's just the age that make a difference.
well, well, one of the things, John, when we were growing up, it would seem as if John comes from an elite background, because we know, persons who were in their space. However, John was never a person like that, he was a down to earth person, and you can see it up to today. He always relate to us as, you know, he's one of us. You know, and as I said last week, that he was the one who actually changed the whole concept of how we approach the game at Rossi's.
Yes.
1983, he brought a professional attitude towards the game in terms of how we prepare ourselves, and the rest is history. You know.
Yes. So how did you meet John though? I mean, at what age were you guys at when you met him?
Ah,
Cause this is really about you, you know. So you know.
yes.
I love-
Well, I think it probably would be the time when probably Zodiac or Avengers was formed, and
Yeah.
we were little boys and stuff. So we used to go to training, but we used to be behind the goal, you know, um, retrieving balls back to them and so on. And that's how we actually learned to control. Because when we were taking shots at goal, we wouldn't catch the ball with our hands. You know, we'd control the ball, whichever section of our body that we can use to control the ball. So
Yes.
I think it was during that time. Or rectory. It could be rectory. I don't quite remember. Don't quite remember.
Yes. Yes. Well, you know, you a person's talk about you in different spaces, and you have a what I call a deft body control when it comes to football. I mean, where did you get that from? How you develop that? Because the way you control football, not many persons can do that under pressure. You know, I mean, how do you do that?
And I tell you something. You see, one of the thing is, I think it was just learning basic fundamentals from very, very early, very, very early. Learning the basic
Yes.
fundamentals of the game. Because apart from my nephew who played Dakar Cup a few years ago, he was a captain, Nico Dehan. There's nobody else in my family that plays football.
Right.
Nobody's playing football. So it was just that early introduction to the game right across from where I grew up on Millers Drive. There was a little field in front of the Salvation Army Church that we used to call study.
Yes.
Where myself and Stanford Reed and Troy and Lodi and those guys, even Worm and Danny Boy, as we really learned to play the game. But
Yes.
it is so funny that in those times we had like one or two footballs, you know. But the thing about it is dedication and the respect for our seniors, because when they have us there for hours saying, look, passing and controlling. And if you think about Darwin, the game is only
Yes.
about passing and controlling,
Yes.
Because if you take a shot towards goal, it's a pass. Okay? You try to play it away from the goalkeeper, make sure it's a perfect pass away
Yes.
from the goalkeeper. And the ball comes
Yes.
to you, either you control it and then pass, or you pass it first time. So the game is all about just passing and controlling. And
Yes.
once you can pass and control effectively and efficiently,
Yes.
you will always be, you're supposed to be a fairly good footballer. So it
Yes.
was that early introduction to the game and the constant practice, and learn the basic fundamentals very early.
Yes.
Because when we were at primary school and we played the under 14 team at Rossi's, we beat them at Wasantilla Park, primary
What
school.
what primary was that? Lucy Primary?
Lucy Primary.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we beat them 1-0 down there. I can't forget that game. So it was us learning the game at a very, very early stage. The basic fundamentals, it's key. Passing,
Yes.
controlling, dribbling, shooting,
Yes.
heading, And to add to that, it was not only learning basic fundamentals, but learning the discipline
Very
that
important.
goes along with all those skills.
Yes. Very important. I want to ask you though, at what point did you, because I know you grew up in around, Lucy area, you developed that skill with Paddy and all these guys, even try the Lodi, the Samuels brothers. And then now, the supreme high school of the area, Rossi's, beckons. How did you get to go to Rossi's?
Well, I got there by passing my common entrance, 1979. I passed my common entrance, and I went there in first form. And
Yes.
of course, people expecting a lot from you because leaving primary school, just after a lot of people were saying that, boy, good talent and they're expecting a lot from you,
Yes.
Well, from me actually. And actually we had several guys among ourselves, and we were surrounded by good people. Horace Samuels, you have Cess Miller, that guy
Yes.
Soa, and Toby, you know, even Emerson, those we were surrounded by persons who had our interest at heart,
Yes.
and I'm arriving at Rossi's, well, all throughout my primary school days of playing football, all the country areas that we go to play, it was barefooted.
Yes.
Yeah, barefooted. I owned my first football boots um at age 12, so when I just reached high school. I was
Right.
saving from primary school, and my sister brought me to Montego Bay up at Chang Sports up at Overton Plaza to
Yes.
buy my first pair of football boots. It's a Hummel, and
Yes. I remember them.
I can't forget I paid $35 for a pair of boots, a shorts, and a pair of socks. And
What?
and the funny thing about it, I bought it, and I was the first one who wear that pair of boots. It was Johnny Blacker. You remember Johnny Blacker?
Yes, I heard about Andy Blacker.
Yes, to play for that. He was the first player. Because when I went to the first day to train under 14, he said,
Yes.
"Yo, brother, let me sample that, man. Yeah, you tell me
Yeah.
sample that." And I passed it to him, and him test it, him work it in for me. You
Yes.
know, I mean, like, no, that can't happen. You can't tell a guy, no, you can't do that.
No, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Very
But
few, very few.
it's the respect that we had for those, senior players and so on, and shoes, after one season, because I tell you something, Darwin, from that early stage until we leave school, friendship was key to us. Friendship, I mean genuine friendship, because
Yes.
if I have a pair of football boots, it will serve for me, for Troy, for Lodi, because three of us we're best friends.
Yes.
And I always say this, and sometimes the ladies don't like it, but I mean, the only thing that we didn't share was our girlfriend. you know, share, honestly, I mean, we were at school, and lunchtime, all three of us, we would share one irritated water,
Yes.
one cocoa bread, and
Yes.
one it's a banana cake. I
Yes.
mean, that's how close we were. So if I ever play football boots, during the training session, I would play like an hour in it, pass it, try, get a lick out of it, and pass it, get a lick out of it. So this is
Yes.
how we were, you know.
Yes.
But my first year of the Cup was 1981, and we were there training, and it was barefooted, just to see him barefooted,
Yes.
right throughout. We were running on the road barefooted, morning, evenings, and so on. But
Yes.
trust me, I mean, we didn't watch that because we knew what we wanted. We knew what we wanted. It wasn't easy, but in those days we just have to do what we have to do, and we know where it all ends up. That
Yes.
I mean, 85, 86, I leave school. Well, I was playing at one point in time. I was playing like under 14, under
Right.
16, and that was a cup at the same time.
Yes. I
Which
remember that
at a
time.
young age, I mean, I didn't feel the impact of it because I was so physically fit that you know, and then playing the Casa Cup and going on to play for Wadada. And we look at it, Darwin, where I could own 6, 7, and 10 pair of football shoes. Where I could come back and give a youngster. I mean, okay, not boasting, but I was the first person that gave Shotty Mac one pair of football boots to wear, you know, and we all see that people help me, so I help my people, and look where Shotty Mac ends up, you
World
know.
Cups. Yeah.
He actually played at a higher level than I did,
The
you know.
high
So
stage. Yeah.
so it's just to help each other, you know.
It's funny you mentioned that with you and Samuels and Try, because when I first saw you at Rossi's, I thought you all were brothers. Literally, I thought you were brothers, because it's after you start playing the Costa Cup. I know that when I heard you, even when I saw the names in the auditorium, Linton Stewart, I did not know who you were, who the name matches. I couldn't put a face to the name, but I know you. I thought your name was Samuels too.
Okay. Well, trust me. I mean, to date, people still think that we are brothers, you know,
Yes.
because how we, you know, actually relate to each other,
Yes,
you know.
yes. Very good, very good. So, I mean, you are a part of, you talk up some things that really pique the interest, and, I want to follow up on that now, because we know coming from, you represented a legion of players who came to Rossi's and created history in 1984. I mean, it was 83 when you went to the Costa Cup final for the first time with Cornwall College. I don't think a loss on the records, yes, but to me, that was not a loss, because that's a final. And if you can make it to the Costa Cup final, I mean, for a school coming from where we're coming from, that's a win. The following year, you were a part of that, that winning team. Let's talk about that a little bit. Give us the experience for those persons who just relive that memory with us, because we didn't get to, some of us didn't get to play. You lived and played that and created history for Rossi's. Just take us through that from 1983 up to when you left Rossi's.
I tell you something, Darwin, and even before my time, okay, I wouldn't go there. All right, from 81 to 85, Cornwall College has always been our rival. And I tell you something, they have never been better than us. But every single time we walk out on that pitch, we were playing against 14 persons. 11 on the pitch, 2 on the sideline, and 1 in the middle. We were always playing against 14, 11 to 14. Yes, always. And it comes right back to Colin Miller. Colin Miller instilled confidence in us. I can't forget when we were going to play Cornwall 83, the morning devotion. He said to us, gentlemen, when we go up here today, when we finish with Cornwall College, they're gonna be Cornwall Porridge. He said to us, he said to us, to lack confidence in life, you are twice defeated in the race of life. To lack confidence.
Marcus Garvey.
So when we got there, we knew what we had to do.
Yes.
And I can recall vividly the finals 83. We did not lose that game. The game was taken from us. The game was taken from us.
Yes,
because you knew that, well, Gainer missed a penalty, and I didn't see the penalty because I turned my back, because I was so nervous I turned my back. I didn't see a penalty. Did not.
Right.
And it was like 2 minutes after, he rose in between 2 defenders across from Shaggy. Is that right? And scored. And nobody, absolutely nobody in Gerard Park knew what went wrong. The linesman waved the flag. And when we asked him what happened, he couldn't explain to us. But listen, by any means necessary, Cornwall College have to win that game.
Yes.
Have to win that game. However, you know, we learned, we came back, and we were resilient. We came back 84, and we decided that, you know, anything standing in the way, we're going to bounce them down.
Yes.
And we knew what took place. And what happened, I tell you something. We played the final on a Wednesday. And I mean, people, I mean, Inter Hanover was so overjoyed that we over celebrated, and the Thursday we didn't even do a little training. It was Friday. I mean, I don't think we had training Friday either. And Friday evening we were off to Kingston to play um Oliver Shield Saturday.
Yes.
So it has, trust me, it was like we reached our ultimate goal. So we didn't even, we were thinking about Oliver Shield.
Right,
So
right.
so we went there, and inexperience took its toll, and we lost the game. We didn't play, but we lost the game, and
Right.
we got one championship that year. And 85, you know what took place 85? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I mean, we were so confident that what I said, not overconfident. We're so confident that it was just like each game was a practice game.
Yes.
Each week was a practice game. But I tell you this, we had such great chemistry. We had such great chemistry in that team that, I play on the left, Donald would play on the left with me, and we had this, trust me, this chemistry that he could play the ball and don't even look because he knew where I was at any given time, and vice versa.
Without
You know,
speaking.
so so that team was marvelous. Trust me, marvelous. And it is not only the ability of the players. We had team spirit. We had team spirit. Because I tell you something, we at camp, at camp, we were so focused, we were so disciplined that, but I was in charge as a captain, you know. Mr. Connell, Kenny was our manager at that time. So he ensured that everything was okay, and there were other teachers who gave support. Mr. Desmond Dunkley, Mr. Miller, coach, Mr. Hamilton. So it was an entire team, not just the players, but a team.
Yes.
And we would retire to bed religiously at 10 o'clock at night. Not one after 10, no, at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Silaska, Obadiah would offer prayer every single night. Every single night he would offer prayer. We had like 3 different dorms, but everybody would meet in my dorm, and Silaska would have a prayer, and we'd go to our dorm. And in the morning, coach didn't have to wake us up, Coach meet us at the park because everybody was there at a particular time. So it was that chemistry, that team spirit, that togetherness. Um, Corey, that's Gavin Brevitt, he and Donald was staying by my house the last 3 years. So it's not only on the football field we were together. When we were eating, we were together. Just about everything that we did it together. So we knew each other. So it's not, when we're on the football field, it is 11 different personality, but it just become one. So it was a well-oiled functioning machine, you
And
know.
you talk about that you had a great defensive unit. You had the Twin Towers there with Anthony Dennis and Griffith.
Absolutely. And I tell you this, and I keep saying over and over again, not to people but in my mind, because I tell you something, I really don't talk football with anybody. And it's not that I think persons out there don't understand the game or whatever. But I prefer to speak to person who see the game as I see the game, you know? And I keep saying, in later years I look back at the teams that the coach over the years, and I think what was extremely good about him, that he knew how to make an average player function with us because you have average players, and it's no disrespect. It's no disrespect because you being an average player does not mean that you're not effective.
Yes.
Because he made average players effective in the system.
Yes.
Because when you have technically sound players like Donald Hewitt, right? Like Kip Donaldson, like Kenneth Gainer, Pelican, those guys who are technically good, and he actually put the puzzle together that they can function with us because they have their responsibility. Listen, you can tackle, you can win football, win it, give it to who can distribute or whatever. So you have
Principle.
your responsibility, you do your job, and that's it. Don't
Yes.
overdo it on the football pitch. Just do your job. And I think
Yes.
that was one of his greatest assets. He was able to fit all these players together and make the team function very, very effectively.
That we're talking about the coach, Mr. Emerson Diggy
Yes,
Henry.
yes.
Okay. There's
Uh,
there's
uh,
one yes, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I speak about everybody. I don't speak about myself because
Right.
the thing about it, I have never seen myself as as a as an excellent player.
Right,
Um, but I think I have attributes that um make me effective. I think my ability to read the football game was very good.
yes.
So even if you have a player who is faster than me or technically stronger than me, I mean, I would be 3 or 4 steps ahead of him in thinking.
Yes.
I knew where the ball was going before it happened. So
Yes.
I was able to think long before them and intercept or whatever. And
Yes.
and I think I'm not the fastest of person, but I have a little speed. And I think that was also also a plus. And funny enough, probably only Diggy might have even picked it up because I am not a predominantly left foot player.
Right. But you play left back.
My right foot is stronger than my left foot by far.
Right.
But here happen, and even when as a coach, I try to instill this. Can I tell you something? I'm playing left back, and it is always critical not to allow the forward or whoever is the attacking player to go inside of you. Once you go inside of you, is only one thing I think, but it shoot at goal.
Yes.
When he go on the flank, he's gonna cross for the most part.
Right.
And my right foot being stronger, so it was always difficult for someone to beat me inside.
Got it.
And if a person go outside, outside, I develop this skill of not tackling with my left foot. Start tackling with my left foot, I use my right foot. Because when you go in the line, my right foot is closer to the player than the left foot.
Right.
So there are certain things that I developed over the years that my opponents would not even realize. And to be honest, I know you might ask a question, but I jump the gun.
That's fine.
It's and I'm bragging, but I can't recall playing against a forward who totally dominate me. And I think one of the reasons why this is so is that the respect, because I tell something, one of one of the trickiest player or the clever is a Partigat Davis.
Yes.
He's an
One of the best.
extremely
Yes.
clever player. Clever. And I tell you why. And I tell you why he scores so many goals. He's more than being clever, but I think a lot of defenders don't respect his cleverness. And if you don't do that, you're in trouble. You have to
Yes.
respect how clever he is. And I
Yes.
think because he respect how clever I was, and I respect how clever he was, even playing against him, he tend not to come where I am.
Right.
So it's easier for him to just deal with somebody than come and deal with me over here. And it's just a respect. It's just a respect because trust me, I tell you, 1 second left in that game, and he will score. 1 second, because
Yes.
he never gives up. So it was a
I
respect.
know.
He's
He's one of the
respect.
best Jamaicans ever seen. And
Yes.
talking about that, talking about 1 second left in the game. Remember that game that we won the 4th title? That game that created history for Rossies. That one that Pelican scored.
Yes, in Kingston.
Yes. Talk about that. What was going through your mind before the goal scored? What happened there?
All right. When we arrived at the stadium, for the entire 90 minutes, all KC did was score 2 goals, nothing else. Which that's what the game is all about, scoring
Yes.
goals. Because even they scored. Remember when we were 1-0 down. I took a free kick, and Leroy missed that empty goal at the far post. Remember he hit it over the crossbar.
Right.
And the committee said it's the only thing he could have done to miss the goal. But we were there, and we were down 2-0 at halftime. And when we went in the changing room, the coach could not say anything to us. All he said to us, gentlemen, you are playing excellent. The only thing you did was not score. So just go back out and continue to play how you were playing. Because I tell you something, there was no need to change any tactics. There was no need to change any personnel. There was no need to do anything rather than go back out there and just score the gamut goals.
That's it.
And I tell you something. And that game proved to me that preparation is key. Physical conditioning is key. And I tell you, it was like a turbo just chipped in because I decided that look here, I just have to keep moving to and fro, just not thinking about getting tired of anything at all. And we totally overran them. Because I mean they didn't know what took place. They knew what took place, and I think we were very, very unlucky, very just unlucky not to win that game.
Well, how did that goal came about though? The one that tied there that make it 2. Because that was a 2-all when you shared the Oliver Shield.
All right. I'm gonna tell you the first goal that we scored to make it 2-1. It was a ball that played. I was close to the halfway line, and I think it was Leroy played that ball to me, and it was not a good pass, but at that point in time, there was absolutely no need to fuss about a bad pass. We could not break the moral of any player. And when the ball played, it was way ahead of me. And trust me, I ran down that ball and catch it like just on the touchline. And I dribbled it probably about 15 meters, whatever. And I played it to Donald, and then I played it across. And the ball was played behind Roxroy. Jackson, remember Roxroy?
Yeah, I remember Rockstar, man.
It was played behind him, so he actually passed the ball. So it was on his left foot that flicked the ball from behind him. So it actually deceived the goalkeeper.
Right.
It's a trickle, and we scored. The Hopkins scored now. We got a free kick because I tell you something. I took over the game totally as a captain. I took over the game totally as captain. I tried to make everything as perfect as possible, which is impossible, but I tried to make it as perfect. So all the free kicks, all the corners, I made sure that I take responsibility to take them.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure if it's a good thing at the point in time, but as a captain, I didn't plan to come back to Kingston 2 years in a row and go back home a loser.
Yes.
I took it upon myself as a captain to lead on the pitch because there's nothing that they could do out there. Absolutely nothing he could do out there. So I took the responsibility as a captain on the pitch to ensure that, look here, we don't go home today a loser.
Yes.
So I took the free kick and defender head back the ball back and just flicking just in the right time. On the volley to just strike it. Just strike it. You know, it is up. And I tell you something, it was so good that because he's a very, he's a slow player, but it is not easy to win his football. And his technique, especially on the volley kicking, he would not kick a powerhouse shot. But when he kicked that shot, it was so perfectly placed that the goalkeeper just couldn't even move, you know. And it was like, wow.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be. So, I always wanted for you to talk about that, because that's a lot of persons might watch the game, but they didn't see the game through your eyes like you saw it then. So, but you even went on to play to represent the national team.
I tell you something, Darwin. It was also a challenge. It was also a challenge, with me playing for Jamaica. So at the point in time, we were training at the stadium, and you leave Lucy on a Friday afternoon to go to training. You leave Lucy, go to Montego Bay. You are crammed in a E20 bus to drive to Kingston.
The Nissan, yeah.
not on the east-west, highway, up Fern Gully, down yonder, ground.
So trees. I know.
When I reached Kingston at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's like walking to Kingston.
Yeah.
And you have 10, 15, 20 minutes to get ready to go and train. You're hungry because I couldn't eat 20 minutes bun and cheese and drinks before that. And those who played under Carl Brown know that you run from now till next year. And that it was not easy. It was not an easy thing. And I have spoken to my friends about my experience at Jamaica training, and maybe now other persons will hear right across the group will hear now that it wasn't easy. I can recall the first time I go to training, I spent 2 weeks at National Stadium, and each morning I had lime leaf tea, callaloo and bread. 2 weeks, 2 weeks straight. Midday, white rice, stew chicken, and lemonade. Evening, white rice, stew chicken, and lemonade. 2 weeks straight with very hard training. I mean, how can I survive? I can't survive. I literally would sleep on a spring because the mattress is about 1.5 inches thick, and you're sleeping. It's on a spring. I mean, when you wake in the morning, you're so sore to go to training in the morning. It was a difficult thing. I mean, I had to find my own pair of football boots, my own pair of shin pad to represent my country. It was challenging. It was challenging. And we will travel abroad and see how the other team members decked out in their, there was a uniform. They were uniform. It was just like, I mean, like a bush league we are play. And honestly, it as a youngster, it was not an experience. However, you would have some players that you played with probably at the club level that would try to, keep you as a young player, keep you up there.
Right.
The Anthony Corbett, the Dian Wilmot, the all those players, keep me, because as a young player, it is very demoralizing. They keep me, up there. They keep me
to keep you motivated.
Yes.
And that was a time when, I mean, I guess Jamaica was not well we didn't understand the full business of the game. But through all that hardship, because of the personality that you were, you still decided you choose to return to Rossies and give back, and by extension to the community. Why do you choose that path as opposed to going elsewhere?
Well, I think what happened, actually start P at a pre-trained teacher at Rossi's, first and second farmers, and at that time Troy was there also, and Troy was poised to migrate, so I was there, because Troy was the one who actually spoke to Mr. Miller and get me there. I can't forget that he was the one who actually allowed me to come in and help us with those guys. And it was not easy at all, because you just stage where a lot of these youngsters who you were teaching, because what I did, I tried to transfer what I learned as a youngster to these younger players, because teaching having a PE class, you have 2 sessions.
Yes.
So the first session, you'd have to learn yes. The first session, I would teach these youngsters basic fundamentals of the game. So whether it's the push pass, you pass it into the foot, or outside, whatever skill you try to teach them. And
Right.
the second session, you have to transfer that in a game situation.
Right.
So that's why I try to teach the youngsters, but they would prefer if you throw a ball out there and go and sit on a tree and watch them kick football all day. And I wasn't into that. So a lot of these guys they were receptive of how I tried to impart the knowledge to them. But I tell you something, it was in latter years, they regretted it, because they realized that what I was doing was the correct thing,
Right.
was the
And
correct thing.
and by saying that, then by extension to that, do you trained some persons, and you had them under your charge? Are there anyone that you can speak of that has moved on to becoming recognized, whether it be nationally or globally or even locally?
One of the challenge, Darwin, is most players could not accept how I try to impart discipline in whatever I do. Even to date, a lot of people think that I'm grumpy, I am miserable, I am whatever. But I tell you this, I don't like nonsense.
Yeah.
That's just me. And I try to ensure that, because you think about it, when you grow up in a sporting discipline and you know what it takes to win, to be champion, you have to try to instill that in youngsters.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think one of the players that went on to do very well was Ainsworth Carr. Ainsworth Carr, he did very well. And
Yes.
I tell you this, if Ainsworth was a little bit more disciplined, he could have reached much further than where he went, you know? And the thing about it, and that's what caused the breakdown of football probably in the entire western part of Jamaica, is the whole
Gotcha.
indiscipline factor of it. And you know what, to compound the problem, when I was growing up, I can give a perfect example. One morning, I think about 83 or 84, I came into Wasilla Park to train. We were doing sand training.
Right.
Diggy said something to me. and I resented it. I I I I did not backchat him or anything like that. But I just refused to do what he said I should do. For what reason that morning, I just didn't know. So he said to me, you know where, go on home. I took up my shoes and I walked up. And when I reached out on the road, I saw Toby. And he said to me, where are you going? Why not at the training? And I said to him, I explained him the situation. So I thought there and then that, you know, he would support me because, you understand me? He said, listen to me, man. Go on your yard. Can you not bigger than this? He said, go on your yard, can you not bigger than this? So just think about it.
Yes.
And you know what?
Yes.
You know what? I walk up to the road and I turn back and go back to training.
Right.
And I apologize. No, committee members support players and their stupidness. And I tell you something, and I can say it openly now. When Diggy was recalled to come back the last time to coach, I didn't want him to go back. And let me tell you why. When he came back and when I saw the level of indiscipline that was thrown at him, you follow me?
Yes.
With his wife on the sideline, I said, my God Almighty, for a person who have brought glory, joy to this institution, look what it turns to now. What it turns to. And I mean, I go to games, and sometimes I left before the game is finished. I was so horrified by things that people in the stands are saying, shouting to him about. I mean, sometimes I feel like, you understand me? I just could not believe. You understand me? Hope. And I tell you this, it was very hard for him because these youngsters just couldn't grasp what he was trying to teach them. It's as simple as that. Because number one, they don't have the basic fundamentals, right? They don't have, because internet training, they don't have the discipline. And this is what I think that we were good at. Every morning, Lodi would get up and run to Elgin Town to wake up his girlfriend to come to school and come back home.
That's a dedication.
I would want to, me and Troy would want to Breeze Hill, come down and come up. So we had that extra. We had that extra. I mean, trust me, sometimes they go to training and they get over there 1 hour and play to come over yet. So it, you know, he was not able to get what he wanted. Because number one, the players weren't physically prepared. It's not his fault. Technically, the players weren't ready, and the ability to think was just below sea level.
Well, one other thing I would say then is that what propelled your generation with the game is that the love for the game was the number one at that time. It has changed after that.
Absolutely.
And talking about that, you remember back while you were there, Mr. Miller was the principal during the time at the school. So,
yes.
you know, can you speak on any impact he had on the institution during his time there, and also any memorable moments that you can relate that with him?
Oh gosh, man. Colin, he was an excellent educator. A lot of people don't know that Mr. Miller is an extremely good teacher.
Yes, absolutely.
When he comes to class, geo class, he just bring book because he knows the book inside out. He's a great teacher.
Yes.
And I tell you something, he was a visionary. And he was the person who did the
Rusty's Brosis, there seemed to be a break in transmission at the moment. I'm not sure. Maybe Mr. Stewart is having some internet issues, which could be the situation at this moment. And so while we're waiting for him to get reconnected, I want to just remind the members and the viewers, please subscribe and share with your friends. And Mr. Stewart is back, just like that, magic.
Yes. I was saying he was an individual that does not deal with double standard.
Yes.
He treats everybody equally. He was a disciplinarian. He loved us, but if you fall out of line, you'll be treated how you be treated.
Oh yes.
There, 82 because 81, 82 we performed poorly when Carl Lagi was a coach. And I can recall as a little boy, we were done by Andy Rocks one evening with Diggy and all his friends. And Colin said, Diggy, you coaching the team next year, you know. And man was like, how look? The man said, it doesn't matter, you coaching the team next year. It's 3. And the first we go to the final. 85. Right. 85. The last game, because remember, you know, we were playing all our home games at Dread Park, you know.
Yes, I remember.
So we were playing like Herbert Morrison for our home game at Dread Park on the Wednesday.
Right.
Saturday, we were playing Connor College at the home game.
Right.
And the last game up there, the Nutriment Street that we played Jazz and we beat them. He said, he tell the people that this is the last year we're playing up here. We're playing the Casa Cup across from the school next year.
Sir.
And the next year we're playing over there.
Yes, sir. That's visionary.
Absolutely. And I have a few experiences with the man, and it's a few, and I want to share them. And 84, I think, when I was supposed to do my English CXCs, his wife was the one who was teaching me English language at the time. I can't recall whether I had done the mock exam or I didn't pass. I can't recall. But the day when she was doing the recommendation to sit the exam, my name wasn't called. And I stepped outside and I walked straight down to Mr. Miller's office.
Yes.
I said, sir, Mrs. Miller did not recommend me to do English, you know. He said to me, Stewart, go and tell Vilma call her. No, think about it now. How am I going to go back to Miss Miller now? What was it? Well, Mr. Miller, call you.
Yes.
Anyway, I went to her and said, Mrs. Miller, Mr. Miller wanted to speak to you. And I walked back down to the office. And he said to his wife, Vilma, let me tell you something. Linton Stewart have to do English. Let him fail, but him have to do it.
Yes.
And when I did my examination, and he was the one who used to go to Kingston to collect the results.
Yes.
And he drove up from Kingston, and he stopped at my house at the gate and called me and said, Linton Stewart, English A. You know, so, I mean, he gave us the opportunity to be the best of what we can be. He gave us the opportunity. And, yes. and as I mentioned team earlier, and when I was at Connor College training for Alda Costa, Mr. Hamilton, you remember Mr. Hamilton?
Yes, I remember Mr.
Trevor Hamilton paid for my GC biology out of his pocket, make sure, because I have to do the examination.
Yes.
I passed my examination. Mr. Linford Nelson, better known as Poi.
Yes.
I mean, I still don't call him that. I still call him something else. Cause you know
Yeah,
what
of
you think.
course. Yes, of course.
He ensured that I'm at my classes. So they cared for us. Mr. Michael Kelly.
Yes.
On Sundays, I couldn't go to Montebello to play matches again, for what did I. I have to walk from Miller Drive round to Violet Avenue at his house every Sunday afternoon to sit and do my history class. So I tell you something, Darwin. There were teachers there who loved us and tried to push us and make us be the best that we can be. But there were other teachers there, and I can tell you, there were other teachers there that didn't care about us.
Yes.
They see us as failures. And I think that the educators at that time, separate apart from those persons, they failed. Because let me tell you what, I think that they need to try to find out what these youngsters are good at,
Right.
what they do. But we were seen as outcasts, footballers, go aside. They didn't try to find out, are you interested in electrical installation or whatever? And I tell you something, Darwin, and this is one of my regrets, that I didn't learn a skill. I didn't learn a skill. And
I was going
most
to
of
ask you that. I was going to ask you that because I know that you're reflecting on the time at Rossi's, I want to ask, if there are any highlights, achievements that you're most proud of, or any key challenges or disappointments like you're talking about right now, or any opportunities that you think that you missed. So right now that you're talking about that, that the question come right up in front right now.
well, I'm coming to that, because I think that, because if you look at it, Darwin, how the present world is functioning. If I call a mason or a carpenter to do some work at my house now, I better have my money put on,
Yes.
big money. And this is the thing.
Yes.
I think the education system was 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 not designed properly, because if you were not academically inclined, it's like you're worthless,
Yeah, to put it
nothing.
nicely.
I tell you something. We were at school and we were human beings,
Yes.
and if we were seen, if girls were seen talking to us, the girls were, what is girl because they try to football and so on.
Yes.
No, it was awful. It was
Yes.
awful. And
Yes.
I tell you this, I have seen youngsters who go to Rossi's who did not achieve academically, and now they are welders, electricians. And I tell you something, these guys have gone on to have families and were able to put up a structure, and they're living good lives. They're living good lives. And I think that is one of the disappointments, going to school. And it's not unique to us, it's alone. You know, it's a general thing. It's a general
Right.
thing.
Right.
But going back to Mr. Miller,
Yes.
that was one incident. Another incident was when we went to um the award ceremony for most valuable player, 1984. It was myself, Diggy, my mother, and him from down here, and Christopher Morgan and Chris mother, um Zadie was the coach, and their principal, the priest. And Colin is a very confident man, man. When he
He
walk into a
is.
room, confident,
Yes.
And
Yes.
we were there before the entourage from George's. And when they walked in, he got up first, and he went and he was introducing all of us. So he pointed at my mom and said, "This is the most valuable mother."
Mm.
And he pointed and Dick and said, "This is the most valuable coach." And he pointed at me and said, "This is the most valuable player." And I am Karen Miller, the most valuable principal.
Of course.
You know, laugh, you know. But you know, he trust me. I tell you this. Up to this day, sometimes I. But I tell you something. Colin is a person who accepted that because it's something that he spoke to us about several occasions, you know. And but to this date, I just can't believe because I am 53, and when Colin was 38,
Right. Right. Yeah.
and and,
Very young.
and all that he has done, as a youngster, you know, I mean, great man, great man,
Yes.
great man,
So,
and I think ever since he died, the leaders or educators at the school have failed. I think they have failed. Have failed. Think about it, Darwin, from 1986 until today. How many years is that?
86 to 96 at 10, 2016. That's 20. That's about 20 something years.
30 odd years.
Yeah.
30 odd years. And trust me, people are still going over to that place, that desert, to stand to watch a game. If I should go over there and carry my family, they have to bend down a bush and urinate. They have failed. They have failed badly. And I think that, Brosis, I tell this, hats off to try and those guys, man. I tell you, hats off to those guys. And probably a question that you want to ask me. Ask me because I want to answer the question.
Because even what you just said just now, the sense, just the sense of common decency for your family, that is one of the main points that I always allude to when it comes to having a bathroom fixed at the location. So, I take it you really want to, you have persons that might want to be, who are on the fence, who want to be a part of the Brosis Foundation. But before I go into that, let me just look at some of the persons who are on the chat, who are watching and listening to you right now.
Yes.
And let's see what they are saying. Persons that they're logged in, and well, one person said, Linton Stewart, the greatest Russian ever. Glaswin Brevet, of course, he's sending his blessings. They can call you Benji. I'm not going to call you Benji because I'm not, you're friends with these people, so they can call you whatever name they can call you. You know what I mean? Mr. Dunkley, of course, is glad to see and to hear you, and he sent his regards just to see him.
Hey, Darwin.
Yeah. Yes.
Tell him I regretted not staying in his maths class and get maths.
He's listening. He's listening right now. You can tell him.
Hey, look here. I tell you this. He used to punish me.
Yes.
For the right thing. And I can tell him openly right now that
yes,
I didn't do at this moment. I regretted it because he was doing it for good, and
yes.
I don't think it's too late for me to log into some of those classes.
You should. Yes.
And prove to him that I can pass 6 maths.
Yes, it's never too late. It's never too late, my brother. I'm sure he's going to text that right now to your phone.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, because he says a lot of love to you. Even Mr. Connell also said you were also an inspiration. So for someone to say, a teacher to say that you were an inspiration, that says a lot about an individual of your caliber, And most of the persons, sending their, great Benji, Mr. Jarrett, Milton Jarrett, Shauna, sending their regards. Let's see who's there again. Mr. Zeb, most of the younger footballers, Mark McNabb, most of them sending their love to you, Chappie Swaby, He was talking, Mr. Connell, Mr. Dunkley was referring to when you said, when you quoted the late Mr. P.Z. Miller, when he was quoting Marcus Garvey about the self-confidence that he displayed whenever he walked into a room. And also, Troy Malcolm is sending his regards just to see him. And I'm trying to find, yes, most of the persons are sending in their regards and just giving a shout out to you because just like me going to school, you were an inspiration to all of us. You know, you're part of the history making team.
And Darwin, I must publicly now say this because you see, from I leave school, and this is what I think I would love for. Well, we know that each individual, you know, have their family. They might be different places all over the globe, but this is what I think that I always wanted us to do, to at least, you know, meet if every 2 years, you know, a man can save and come to, because I tell you something, I respect every single player who have played with. It's that I don't respect other players that I have played with, but you know, you really don't know them personally.
Yes.
But all the players, and I tell you something, Darwin, up until this very day, all the players who I played with, especially 84, 85, that have been their leader, they have such high, and I'm not boasting, they have such high regards for me still at this very day that honestly I am humbled by it, because even how when the players see me and how they address me, you follow me? It's like we're in that same setting.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
Corey, Donald, Leroy, you know, Pelican. And I tell you something. Lawrence, Fabian Lawrence.
Pirate. He resting, soul rest in peace.
Fabian
Yes.
Lawrence. I mean, tell you this. Believe you me, how he died is just awful.
It's sad.
You know, because you know, I've been to Montego Bay several times. He was the first person that makes me reappear at Clark's. He was the first person who gave me a pants length, turning a wool to make a pants, and to go to Montego Bay and see him in that condition is just awful. I mean, I go there and I didn't recognize that he was pirate. And when he said to me, Skipper, you can't see a pass me, you know, call to me. He said, Fabian, I didn't see it was you at all. Because the condition of Fabian in, I couldn't recognize Fabian. And he said to me, you are, brother, you need a money to buy a party. Said to him, say, hold on, Fabian, hold on. I'm just internalize everything. Fabian asking me for party money. That's unheard of. People give me a pair of clocks, money pair of clocks. And like I was with a friend in Moby the day, and I gave Fabian $2,000. And the person said to me, say, why you do that? Come on, ask for a party. I said to the gentleman, don't go there. Do not go there. You don't know where we're coming from. Because I gave Fabian can buy 10, 15 party if you want. However, if he chooses to take the drug, I made sure I gave him enough where he could have choice. I didn't give him $50 and he can get that light. He can get 2,000 where he can get 2, 3 lights and he can buy 4 or 5 party and 3 drinks. And how he died was just awful. Keep it on, it's the very same thing. It's the very same thing. I tell you this. I play with some players that have confidence. I mean, you can equate the confidence Cape Towners have and Guyana have. These players never ever think no defender can contain them.
Yeah.
Never ever think. I can look at a game that set when we were going to play. I don't remember his team. And he was giving instructions and and nervous. And he got up and said, Coach, what are you worrying about? Remember we took on the gunner. He said, remember the gunner is here. Half time, everything will be okay. And 20 minutes to the game. 2 half time, he said, Coach, me tell you what they were saying about. Don't worry. So these are players that, I mean, when I'm out there with them, confidence, and to see these players just go down like that, it's it's heart rendering, man, heart rendering, And as I said to try the other day, we as a group, I mean, I might can't give $100,000, but I can do something. It doesn't matter. I'm working. I'm not rich, but I'm not hungry. But at the same time, I'm willing to give. I am always willing to give because I tell you, I hate to see players come to games and can't go and watch a game. Let me tell you this. For the past 10, 15 years, every Rossi's game I go to, I pay. However, there's some individuals who cannot. But so something must be in place for them because they've contributed.
Yes.
They've contributed.
Yes.
But
yes.
who can pay because you're actually supporting the school. You understand me?
Yes.
And
so, with that humility that you possess and you speak so, you articulate it so well, I mean, viewers and subscribers who are watching, I'm sure they're feeling the passion, especially when you talk about the players that you played with. And, as a body now to try to give back and recognize the persons who have contributed so much. Brosis has started a foundation. And this is one of the questions I want to ask you that, you have had conversations maybe with Troy or other board members or other persons, and you have gotten some insight on this foundation that we have here. So what are your thoughts on the mission of the foundation, and what are some of the benefits that you might see, having such an organization in place? What do you see about in that?
I'm going to be straight up with it, Darwin. As I mentioned to you earlier today,
yes,
your last question, I have to answer it straight up.
Yes.
And I know tonight there are many persons who's gonna bash me, but I'm speaking straight from my heart.
Yes. Well, the only thing is that if you have to speak, then that's fine. But just not to mention any other name of any organization that might be okay.
No. I don't mention any name, right?
That's right.
But no. That is very hard not to mention.
I know.
It's very hard not to mention because all the groups prior to Brosis, they have been perceived to be elite people. You understand me, David? Academia.
Yes.
You follow me? And
Yes.
and I tell you something. I ask myself the question: how do we measure success?
Yes, sir. Very important question.
And maybe Sir Dunkley and all those guys can help me, because I tell you something. I don't think it's how much you earn or the positive or what you drive.
Yes.
I think it's an individual contributing meaningfully to society.
Yes.
You follow me? And
Yes, sir.
the fact of the matter is, I think this group has given a lot of persons who have, because Mr. Miller always tell me, Stewart, you're not an old student, you're a past student. Because you can call a male or female who just left school at 18, 19, old student. They're a past
Yes,
student.
yes,
And this group has given a lot of past students an opportunity to feel like you're a part of an organization
yes,
they're
sir.
being into.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I have
Yes.
never felt like I am in an organization, a past student organization, prior to no. I don't feel like it because I tell you something, and we know that if you are not a doctor or a lawyer or a whatever professional,
Yes.
I mean, I tell you something. There are many youngsters who left Rossies, and they are mechanics, they are taxi drivers,
Yes,
they
sir.
are they're doing other
Carpenters,
legitimate,
honest jobs. Yes, sir.
honest jobs, and they are raising good families.
Yes,
And I tell you
absolutely.
something, and you know what? And let me tell you, Darwin, most of those persons who see themselves as professionals, when they come to Rossi's games, they don't pay because they are missing this and missing that, and they come in free. What do they contribute? What do they contribute? Absolutely nothing. And I tell you something, whosoever conceived this idea, the Brosis,
Yes.
whosoever conceived that idea, Trauma can tell me later on. I
I
tell you
can tell
something.
you right now. There's Granny, Gatti, and Byron.
Hats off to them. No, I tell you, hats off to them. And anyway,
It
there.
happened. It happened after Pirate passed off. This just said, you know what? We have to have something that can keep us together again.
Listen, man. Anywhere I'm on the globe, or ocean or moon, I will always support this thing, man. I'm telling you, I will support it because I feel a part of. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at what we are doing. I mean,
Yes.
Mr. Dunkley and Sir Connell and Miss Dawes, they are conducting classes,
Yes.
educational classes.
I'm gonna touch on that later on, of course, definitely.
Follow me? I mean, come
And not
on,
only
man.
that, every child that Norwin, the one that or a technical person, he has all the students at Rossi's that has their own email now, considering of the corona pandemic that we're going in. You can touch a little bit about that also.
And let me tell you, one of the challenges we have, one of the biggest challenges we have, because right now, I'm not so much of a social worker.
Yes.
I deal with community development. It's different from social work, community development.
Yes. Yes.
And I have to be in communities because even recently we partner with Gateway Cooperative Credit Union to donate tablets to some students in deep rural areas
Yes.
that don't have connectivity and so on.
Yes.
And the biggest problem we have, Darwin, is the parents not being able to manipulate these devices so they can assist the children.
Yes.
So I am working with a gentleman who just came up from some studies in North Carolina. He lives in Cocoon, and we try to put together a little program, a little bit of support to get some adults,
Yes.
to teach them how to help their children.
Yes.
Because I mean, it's a challenge because it's something new,
Yes.
and we can
Totally.
blame the parent because
Yes.
if they don't know, they just don't know.
It's a new age.
Absolutely. So that's the challenge. Because I tell you something. Right now, if you give a 4-year-old a tablet, in fidget and turn it on,
Yes.
and find some absence when you never believe.
Yes.
I mean, I am 53, and trust me, sometimes I am embarrassed. Sometimes, a youngster just take the phone and say, "Sir, I see that." So
Go figure it out.
that's the main challenge now in getting parents to be able to assist the children.
Yes. Yes. That's a big struggle because it's I'm glad that you mentioned that about persons who parents who are not equipped to help because this pandemic, it just happened. It's not something that anybody ordered online or ordered. It didn't pay for it. It just happened, and these things will happen at some time. So it happened at a time where some persons were not able to work. Some may be able to go back to work now, and they can't sit with the children to teach the children how to use the devices, but they have someone who can stay with them and who can stay with the children while the parents go to work to earn so that everybody can eat. The person who they find that's fitting to stay with the child is maybe their grandma or grandpa who doesn't have a clue how to use these devices.
Absolutely.
So they're caught in a dilemma again. And some of
Absolutely.
them who have the devices don't have the connectivity that you talk about. So, how do we balance these things and get through it? You have any thoughts on these things? Because I remember I used to work with social development, SDC, back in those days.
And it's extremely challenging. It's extremely challenging because you think about it, you still have to be cognizant of the fact that you have to have social distancing. So,
Yes.
so even when an individual in a community would volunteer his or her service, because okay, for instance, now a teacher might be they're not going to school per se, so they could in a community and they could probably assist some of the youngsters, but to have them in a setting, it's still challenging in terms of
It is.
the distancing, So I think we just have to hope that this pandemic goes away in short order. And I was walking with one of my friends this morning, Pastor Michael, and I was saying to him, Mike, one of my biggest challenge now is if the people across the globe will learn from this pandemic.
Yes,
Will
absolutely.
learn. Because you know what? We need to live our lives simpler than we have been doing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Because as I said before, there are so many things in life that I thought was important. And it's not important.
Yes.
Because who knew that we could have gone into our homes at 3 p.m. 3 p.m.
Yeah.
10 a.m. 3
Yep.
p.m.
Make it simple.
So and like I'm here now. Yeah, and I tell something. And it saving is a critical element of our lives moving forward.
Yes.
Saving, it's critical that you save because I tell you something. There are some persons who have saved and the savings have been depleted. However, if they were saving, they could manage.
Yes.
So I think that
Savings does just play a very vital part. And again, we have another break. Oh, there's back again. Good.
yeah. So it's challenging. It's challenging. I don't think there's much we can do. I mean, to be honest, there's much we can do
Right
because
now.
and people still remain in discipline.
Yes.
People still remain in discipline. And the fact of the matter is, from early, from May, June, July, when all sort of conspiracy theory was swirling around or whatever, I said to my coworkers, whatever is causing this thing, it is real.
Yes.
So whether it's 5G, arm and calf, fire and whatever, and pick up, it is real.
Yes.
So what you need to do is ensure that you follow the protocols. Follow the
Yes.
protocols. And
Yes.
trust me, I tell you, it's not only us, but we are a world of indisciplined people. And I tell you something, you see freedom comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yes, sir. Totally.
Because I cannot tell the last time I hear any news about anybody dying or contracting corona in China. That's where it all began. That's where it all began. And there's institute some rules and regulation to contain the thing. But it's freedom, comes with responsibility.
Yes.
And that's my problem. I mean yesterday I was traveling in a taxi. Sometimes I just park and take a taxi. So they,
Yes.
you just want to see what happened, I hear what happened. I took a taxi and when I go in there was this two girls right at the back. One in mask and one in a mask. I was chatting and I said, driver, hold on. And I came back out. And they cost me,
Really?
They cost me. So they got me better than people. I said, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, what that they can understand?
Well, the funny thing is that, sometimes this pandemic, it's a bad thing. And also it can serve also to help to make us be better, because persons know you talk about being simple and living the simple life. Now it all reflects on us as persons, where we have to now start looking on the inside of ourselves, start looking at ourselves now. How can we become better? And this is, you're sitting in your house and you're speaking to the world. So we just have to look within ourselves, that everything that we need to be better is within ourselves. So I'm glad that you're talking about that right now. I want to just check with the chat a little bit more, because we're about to wrap up in a few minutes. So
Okay.
let me see what I say now. We're going to have this. Say hello to Mr. Pastor Michael, he's my neighbor when we were living in Johnsontown there. Odette, Miss Morris says that has been her argument as well. The pandemic began in where it began, and then to see the discipline that these Chinese persons have displayed, and to maintain what they have maintained right now, and yet we are here lacking discipline, and we are going through all this process right now. So to say this, I want to ask you this one question now. How would you characterize the importance of Rosis, in to the Hanover community? What impact has Rosis created in the Hanover community? And then I'll just ask you one more, and then we wrap up.
I tell you this, I look at it in a holistic sense, right? First of all, it's an educational institution. So it provides education at a high level. Because I tell you this, Darwin, a lot of people don't have high regards for Rossies. And we have seen excellent educators at Rossies.
Yes.
And first of all, it provides solid education for our residents of the parish. We look at it again as, when we look at during the Costa Cup season, the amount of vendors that earns from the games that we play, both at our home ground and away, it's significant. It is significant. I think too that as an institution we have great history,
Yes.
and it has provided joy and happiness to our residents, especially again in the Jakarta Cup season. And I tell you something, people take the football serious,
It's a business for some person.
very, very serious. And if you look at the economic benefit
Yes.
during the Jakarta Cup season, it is huge.
Yes, sir.
Huge. Taxi, bus, vendors.
Trucks too.
Absolutely. You understand me? So you can underscore that. You can underscore that. Right? I think though, Darwin, as an institution, I think, and again, some people might beat me for this, but I think over the years we lack effective leadership and it goes right to board level. I live just down the road. I live across from CB Chicken over in that area. So every morning when I go to work, I have to drive past. And I just cannot believe driving past 20, 40, 50 students out on the outside, locked out from accessing education. They come to the park, they're at the park, lingering all day, then go up Cemetery Road, then go up West Avenue, then go up East Avenue. And I know that Mr. Cornell and Mr. Donkey can relate to this because they know the area. And I am saying, I've spoken to Milton, Jared on several occasions and expressed my displeasure. We must can find a way in which these students, even they are late, some form of punishment, but in a way that they can still learn. Listen, when I'm going to upper campus, upper Coachella, when I'm late, I'm in detention. You know who keep detention?
Mr. Miller.
Milton Jarrett, Vincent Miller, all these guys who are six farmers, they keep detention, and detention is not to just in a detention. No. It's work getting enough work.
Yeah,
So
man.
I am saying,
Yeah.
I am saying, if these students come late, still accommodate them on the compound, but
Yes.
either make them go and stand up, because I tell you something, something we can tell you. If you come to his class late, you stand at the back of the class, you're still in the class accessing
Yes.
what is taught.
Education. Yes. Yes.
Look, how can you lock out children whether they're late or not? Listen to me. If you're late 3 times for the week or whatever, you have some way of finding out.
Yes.
If you're late 3 times a week, your parents must come in.
Something is wrong. Yes. Something is wrong.
And I am saying the leadership has failed and failed miserably. And that is something that I want to see change. And whosoever is listening to me now, whether a board member or the aspirant principal or whosoever, I need to see that change. We cannot have these students leave from Montego Bay, Westmoreland, Cocoon Castle, Dias, Kingsville, wherever, and come to school. It makes sense to come then. They must be able to accommodate them on the compound, Darwin,
Yes.
and find something for some for punishment but not that physical punishment.
Yes.
But it's either, oh my gosh.
Because the safety of the children is the most important thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I get so emotional right now. Trust me.
I know. And with that, I want to just, I know it's late. I want you just to go into the closing remarks now. Like, what are your final thoughts? I know it's very touching. I know it's very touching. I know. Let me just look at this while you're thinking about that. Let me look at the chat here and see what's going on here. Everybody is agreeing with you. You're inspiring, insightful. All the persons are agreeing with everything that you're saying because what you're saying is fact. So just go into the closing remarks and then we can close it up so persons can get to get to rest.
I want to see this organization move from strength to strength. And I know I exited myself from the group twice. and I asked Shana to
yes.
link me back to the group. And I know because the first time I exited myself, there were persons who were asking why.
Of course.
And I didn't explain why in the chat. I spoke to some of my friends, and express me displeasure about certain things. And but I realized that people are enthusiastic about the group.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so,
Daily.
so people to make sure they participate by whatever means, give a joke,
Yes.
sing a song, do something.
Yes. Yes.
Because I tell something, people feel good about being a part of
Off. Yes.
an organization that
Yes.
recognizes them and make
Yes.
them feel worthwhile.
It's a therapy.
Yeah, so I understand the enthusiasm. So all me do, me just mute and you understand me. So me don't get
Yes.
disturbed in my sleep at night and whatever. But I am good, and I know that we have several projects in the pipeline, and as me say, if I have a sweat equity, I might can give $100,000, but if go down there and go show Iron Park and shoot one speed and shoot one barrel, whatever. Once I'm able-bodied, I am always ready. Because I
Yes.
said something, Darwin, and maybe this is my last point.
Yes.
One of my favorite subjects at school was biology.
Yes.
And I've always said to myself that if I ever reach a point where I have some money, serious money, one of the first thing I would do is request that I retrofit that biology lab down there totally. And you realize that me not say me put on money in football.
Yes.
I want to do something on on that compound to enhance the educational level of these students, and because I think it's key. It is key. And what I'm saying, Darwin, is that not everybody will be academically inclined,
Yes.
but if you are, don't let it be that you don't have the necessary resources for you to learn because
Yes.
you're not able to access equipment in a biology lab or in a physics lab or in a whatever. You understand me? So once the person is academically inclined, the resource must be there so the person can
Yes.
advance his or herself.
Access it.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Come
I
on.
totally agree with you there. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Linton Conk Stewart, special guest to the Brosis Empowerment Hour. You were on the Brosis Foundation on the Sports Talk with Casey and JC's Kenny Connell and John Campbell with the every Thursday Sports Talk that comes on at 8 p.m. New York time. And we also have Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every Mr. Desmond Dunkley hosts at 3 to 4:30 p.m. the math learning together the tutorial sessions, math tutorial sessions. So you can tune in every Tuesday and every Thursday to pick up on some of these maths because I'll watch it today and I learned some things that jog my memory. And also on learning together program again with the English tutorial session with Miss Dawn Dawes. She's very eloquent speaker, very articulate, and she has a lot to say in terms of the English language. So we have a lot of programs in the pipeline coming up, and we really want to take full part. And I want to say again, thank you again, Mr. Stewart, for being a part of the Brosis Empowerment Hour today. Thank you for being a part of the group. And we look forward to seeing a lot more of you. We could not get enough of you on Thursday. That's why we have you on again today, because even though we didn't have everything, because there's so much that you have to offer.
I think the main challenge that I have, Darwin, is that I don't have internet access at home.
Right.
So presently I am trying to get hooked up to Flow, because right now
Okay.
I'm using my data, and so
Okay.
each time that I'm going to be on the program, I have to make sure I tap up to make sure that we don't cut off before
Yes. Yes.
the
Yes.
scheduled time ends. So
Yes.
so
Yeah.
once once I get internet connection at home,
Yeah.
I'll be able to be on all of the various programs,
Yes.
the organization is implementing.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. We thank you again. We have enough. We have enough raffle coming up in a few more in next week. So we hope that you can be a part of it and be a part of all the functions that we have in. And whatever you have to do, I know you're going to do it because that's the kind of person that you are, with humility. You're well spoken. And, you know, during this interview, I feel you were being your true self. And I listened. You were so passionate about all that you said. Most of the persons listened and they were so caught up with what you were saying. Right now, they are still online. Even though it's almost 2 hours, they're listening because everything you say, they're like, I don't want to attribute to Mr. Miller, but you know, you have your own personality, and what you're saying is factual and it's coming from your soul. And that is what we look for, you know, real humility from the soul. Thank you so much again, Mr. Stewart, for being a part of us, Brosis Empowerment Hour. Looking forward to see you again. You have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. Same to you, brother.
Yes, man. Thanks again. Bye-bye now.
Cool. Yeah, man.